The foundation crumbles. Sophia Reed traced her fingertips along the weathered oak banister, feeling the gentle grooves worn by 4 generations of her family. The Victorian-style home had stood proudly for over a century, surviving wars, economic downturns, and countless Reed family milestones. She paused at the landing, gazing at the stained glass window that cast rainbow patterns across the hardwood floor every afternoon. "You're up early," her husband Marcus said, startling her from her reverie. He adjusted his tie, already dressed for work despite the early hour. "Just appreciating what we have," Sophia replied, smiling softly. "Grandma Reed would be proud we've kept it in such good condition." Marcus nodded distractedly, checking his phone. "I've got meetings all day." "Don't wait up." As an event planner, Sophia had built a modest business from their home, converting the sunroom into her office. Her clients loved the vintage charm, often commenting how the house itself felt like a warm embrace. She'd inherited it when her parents passed unexpectedly 5 years ago, the sole caretaker of the Reed legacy. She brewed her morning coffee, listening to the familiar creaks and sighs of the old house, oblivious to the storm brewing in her marriage. Marcus's investment firm had been struggling for months, but he'd assured her they would weather it. What she didn't know was how desperate he had become. That afternoon, Sophia met her friend Olivia for lunch at their favorite cafe downtown. "How's Marcus doing with the market downturn?" Olivia asked between bites of her salad. Sophia shrugged. "He says it's fine. You know how he is, always handling everything himself." Olivia hesitated. "And you trust that?" "Of course I do. We've been married for 7 years. Why wouldn't I?" The seed of doubt planted by Olivia's question lingered as Sophia drove home. She and Marcus had been drifting apart lately, their conversations reduced to logistics and schedules. When had they last truly connected? Pulling into the driveway, she noticed an unfamiliar car parked out front. Inside, she found Marcus in deep conversation with a man in an expensive suit, documents spread across their dining table. "Sophia," Marcus said, startled. "You're home early. Who's this?" she asked, nodding toward the stranger. "Richard Palmer," the man said, extending his hand. "From Everest Properties." "We're just finishing up," Marcus interjected quickly. "Business matter." After Richard left, Marcus avoided her gaze, busying himself with gathering the papers. "What kind of business do you have with a property company?" Sophia asked, the knot in her stomach tightening. "It's complicated," he said. "Financial restructuring." That night, unable to sleep, Sophia slipped from bed and went to Marcus's office. She rarely invaded his space, respecting his privacy, but Olivia's words echoed in her mind. Opening his laptop, she found his email still logged in. Her blood ran cold as she read the correspondence with Everest Properties. Subject line, "Finalization of sale, 415 Maple Street." Her address. Their home. The documents detailed everything. Marcus had sold their house, her family's legacy, for $850,000 to cover investment losses. The closing was in 2 weeks. He hadn't just sold their home, he'd sold it without a word to her. When morning came, Sophia sat at the kitchen table, the printed emails before her, waiting. Marcus entered, already checking his phone. "Were you going to tell me before the moving trucks arrived?" she asked, her voice eerily calm. His face paled as he saw the papers. "Sophia, I can explain." "You sold my family's home." Each word felt like glass in her throat. "Behind my back. The firm is underwater. I had no choice. There's always a choice, Marcus. You just didn't include me in making it." As tears finally broke through her composure, Sophia realized this wasn't just about losing a house. It was about trust shattered beyond repair, about a partnership that existed in name only. The foundation of their life together had crumbled, leaving nothing but dust where their future had once stood. Blueprints of betrayal. The following week passed in a blur of numb disbelief for Sophia. She moved through the rooms of her ancestral home like a ghost, touching door frames and windowsills, cataloging memories she'd soon be forced to leave behind. "You need to talk to a lawyer," Olivia insisted over tea in Sophia's kitchen. "He can't just sell your inheritance without your consent." "The deed was in both our names," Sophia replied, her voice hollow. After my parents died, we refinanced to help Marcus start his investment firm. I trusted him completely. Olivia reached across the table and squeezed her friend's hand. This isn't your fault, isn't it? I signed those papers. I never questioned our finances. Sophia's eyes welled with tears. I was so busy planning other people's perfect moments that I didn't see my own life falling apart. That evening, when Marcus returned home, Sophia was waiting in the living room, surrounded by photo albums and family heirlooms. I've spoken with Richard Palmer, she said calmly. He's given us 30 days instead of 14 to vacate. Marcus loosened his tie, relief washing over his face. Sophia, thank you for understanding. I don't understand, she interrupted. And I'm not doing this for you. I needed time to decide what happens next. We can find a nice apartment, Marcus offered quickly. Start fresh. Sophia looked at him as if seeing a stranger. There is no we anymore, Marcus. You made that decision when you sold this house without me. The silence between them stretched like an endless winter. Where will you go? He finally asked. I don't know yet, but I know it won't be with you. The next day, Sophia called an old college friend she hadn't spoken to in years. Nathan Chen had been her study partner in design school before pursuing architecture. Now he ran a successful firm specializing in historical renovations. They met at a cafe downtown, away from the house that no longer felt like hers. I almost didn't recognize you, Nathan said, rising to embrace her. His familiar smile was a comfort she hadn't realized she needed. Though the circumstances are terrible, I'm so sorry about the house. I still can't believe it's happening, Sophia admitted, warming her hands around her coffee mug. 4 generations of Reeds, and I'm the one who loses it. Nathan shook his head. You didn't lose it, Sophia. It was taken from you. There's a difference. As they talked, Sophia felt something stir within her, not just grief, but a flicker of determination. Nathan listened without judgment as she poured out her story, occasionally asking questions that helped her see things from new angles. Have you considered what you want to do next? He asked. With your business, I mean. Sophia sighed. My client list is solid, but I've always operated from the house. Its history was part of my brand. Nathan's eyes lit up. That's it, Sophia. Your brand isn't the house. It's you and your connection to history and meaning. That can't be sold. For the first time in weeks, Sophia felt a spark of possibility. As they parted, Nathan hesitated. I'm renovating the old Westfield Hotel on River Street. The owner wants to turn it into mixed-use space. Shops, offices, maybe some apartments. You should see it. Why? Sophia asked. Because sometimes when you lose something precious, you need to be reminded that beautiful things can be built again. At home, Sophia began the heartbreaking task of sorting through possessions. What to keep? What to let go? Each object carried memories, but she couldn't take everything. In the attic, she discovered a box she hadn't seen before. Inside were her grandmother's design sketches, dozens of them. Plans for renovations never completed, dreams unrealized. Among them was a letter addressed to future Reeds. A house is made of wood and stone, her grandmother had written. But a home is made of love and dreams. If these walls should ever fall, remember that you carry the blueprint of who we are within you. Rebuild. Begin again. The Reed legacy isn't these beams and boards. It's the courage to create beauty from whatever materials life gives you. Sophia pressed the letter to her chest, tears streaming down her face. For the first time since discovering Marcus's betrayal, she felt something beyond pain. She felt purpose. When Marcus returned that night, she handed him a folder. Divorce papers? He asked, his face falling. Separation agreement, she corrected. I'll be moving out this weekend. Where will you go? Sophia thought of Nathan's invitation, of her grandmother's letter, of the path now unfolding before her. To see about a hotel, she answered, surprising herself with the certainty in her voice. Breaking ground. The Westfield Hotel had once been the crown jewel of the Riverside district, a 5-story Beaux-Arts masterpiece fallen into disrepair. As Nathan led Sophia through the dusty corridors, she saw past the peeling wallpaper and cracked tiles to the bones of something magnificent. The developer bought it for the location, Nathan explained, but wasn't sure what to do with the building itself. That's where I came in. Sophia ran her fingers along the ornate banister, feeling the same craftsmanship that had gone into her family home. It's beautiful even in this state. Nathan smiled, pleased by her response. The third floor is still available for lease. I thought, maybe you might want to see it? The space was vast, far larger than her home office had been, with tall windows overlooking the river. Sunlight streamed across the wooden floors, illuminating decades of scratches and wear. It needs work, Nathan admitted, but the structure is sound. Sophia walked to the window, watching boats drift along the river. When I was little, my grandmother told me that the Reed women never waited for life to happen to them. They built what they needed. Sounds like a wise woman? She was. Sophia turned back to him. How much is the lease? Nathan quoted a figure that made her wince. It's more than I can afford right now. What if you had a partner? He suggested. I've been thinking about expanding into event spaces. Our firms could be complementary. My renovations, your events. Business partners? Sophia clarified, studying his expression. To start, he said with a slight smile. No pressure. Just two old friends rebuilding something together. That night, in her temporary room at Olivia's apartment, Sophia couldn't sleep. The idea Nathan had planted took root and blossomed in her mind. Not just an office for her event planning, but a complete renovation of the third floor into a premier event venue, one that could host the very gatherings she organized. She pulled out her grandmother's sketches, finding inspiration in the bold lines and innovative solutions. By morning, she had the beginnings of a business plan. Over the next 2 weeks, Sophia poured herself into the project. She met with Nathan's team, reviewed budgets, and started reaching out to her client list about her new venture. The response was overwhelmingly positive, many expressing excitement about the historical space. You seem different, Olivia remarked one evening as they shared takeout. There's a fire in you I haven't seen before. Sophia paused, chopsticks halfway to her mouth. I feel different. For years, I've been living in the past, preserving my family's legacy. Now I'm creating something new. And it doesn't hurt that you're working with Nathan, Olivia teased. He's even more handsome than he was in college. It's not like that, Sophia protested, though she couldn't deny the flutter in her stomach whenever he leaned close to review plans with her. The day before signing the lease, Sophia received a call from Marcus. I heard about your new business venture, he said, his voice tight. Olivia mentioned it. It's happening quickly, she acknowledged. With Nathan Chen. There was an edge to his voice. You've moved on fast. This isn't about Nathan, Sophia replied firmly. It's about me rebuilding what you destroyed. I made a mistake, Sophia. A terrible one. But I did it because I was drowning. The firm, I would have helped you, she interrupted. We could have faced it together. That's what marriage means. The silence between them spoke volumes. I miss you, Marcus finally said. The house is empty without you. It won't be your problem much longer, she reminded him. The new owners take possession next week. After hanging up, Sophia sat alone in Olivia's guest room, surrounded by her plans and sketches. The conversation with Marcus had shaken her more than she wanted to admit. Was she moving too fast? Running from pain rather than toward something real? The next morning, she met Nathan at the hotel to sign the lease. He noticed her hesitation immediately. Second thoughts? He asked gently. Just making sure I'm doing this for the right reasons. Nathan set down his coffee. When we were in design school, you had this theory about spaces, that they hold the energy of what happens within them. Sophia smiled, remembering. I was very philosophical back then. You were right, though. This building has weathered a century of change. Now it's getting another chance. He reached across the table, not quite touching her hand. Maybe we all deserve second chances, Sophia. Not just buildings. She looked into his eyes, seeing not just a business partner, but a man who believed in her vision. Something shifted inside her, a cornerstone setting into place. Let's sign the papers, she said, her voice steady with newfound certainty. It's time to break ground. Structural integrity. 6 months flew by in a whirlwind of renovations, permits, and late nights. Reed and Chen Historical Venues transformed the third floor of the Westfield into an elegant space that honored the building's past while embracing its future. Original moldings were restored, hidden beneath layers of paint. The hardwood floors, once dull with age, now gleamed warmly under restored crystal chandeliers. "We're actually going to make the deadline," Sophia marveled, reviewing the punch list with Nathan one evening. They sat on the floor of what would soon be their grand ballroom, surrounded by fabric swatches and paint samples. "Was there ever any doubt?" Nathan teased, passing her a container of takeout. "Only every single day," she laughed, accepting the food. Their fingers brushed, sending a now familiar warmth through her body. These moments had become increasingly common, lingering touches, prolonged eye contact, conversations that stretched late into the night. "The bookings for our first 3 months are nearly full," she noted, changing the subject. "Your industry connections really came through." "Our connections," he corrected. "Half those bookings are from your client list." Sophia smiled, acknowledging the truth in his words. Their partnership had proven more successful than either had anticipated. Nathan's architectural expertise complemented her event planning skills perfectly, and clients were drawn to their shared passion for blending historical elements with modern functionality. "Have you heard from Marcus?" Nathan asked carefully. He rarely brought up her estranged husband, respecting her privacy, but the divorce proceedings had been finalized the previous week. "His lawyer delivered the final papers yesterday." Sophia set down her fork, appetite suddenly diminished. "It's officially over." Nathan studied her face. "Are you okay?" "I'm relieved, actually. It's like setting down a heavy weight I didn't realize I was still carrying." She looked around the space they'd created together. "This feels more like home than that house did in those final months." Later that week, Olivia helped Sophia prepare for their grand opening gala. "You've invited half the city," Olivia remarked, reviewing the guest list. "Including Marcus?" "Bold move." "Professional courtesy," Sophia explained, adjusting floral arrangements. "His firm represents potential clients. Besides, I'm not angry anymore, just done." "And what about Nathan?" Olivia prodded, watching her friend closely. "That doesn't look done to me." "That looks like something just beginning." Sophia blushed despite herself. "We're business partners who work 16-hour days together, finish each other's sentences, and look at each other like the rest of the world disappears." Olivia raised an eyebrow. "I've seen how he watches you when you're not looking." "It's complicated," Sophia admitted. "After Marcus, I'm not sure I trust my judgment." "Trust what you feel," Olivia advised. "And maybe wear that burgundy dress tonight. The one with the low back. For business purposes, of course." The opening gala exceeded all expectations. The city's most influential figures mingled beneath the restored chandeliers, admiring the seamless blend of historical architecture and contemporary design. Sophia moved through the crowd in her burgundy dress, greeting guests and accepting congratulations. Near midnight, she spotted Marcus across the room. He'd lost weight, and new lines creased his forehead. Their eyes met briefly before he nodded in acknowledgement and turned away. Sophia found herself on the balcony, needing a moment's respite from the crowd and the unexpected emotion of seeing her ex-husband. "Hiding at your own party?" Nathan's voice was warm behind her. "Just catching my breath." She turned, smiling at the sight of him. "Have I thanked you properly for all of this?" "About 1,000 times." He joined her at the railing, looking out over the river. "But you did the hard part, Sophia. You lost everything, and instead of crumbling, you built something better." "Not alone," she reminded him. "No," he agreed, his voice softening. "Not alone." The air between them charged with unspoken feelings. Nathan reached up, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear with gentle fingers. "I've wanted to do that all night," he confessed. "Just that?" Sophia asked, surprising herself with her boldness. Nathan's eyes darkened as he stepped closer. "No, not just that." When his lips finally met hers, the kiss was tentative at first, then deepening with months of restrained desire. Sophia melted against him, her hands sliding up his chest to his shoulders. "I've been waiting for this," she whispered when they parted, breathless. Me too. Since the day you walked into that cafe 6 months ago. He cupped her face. But I needed to be sure you were ready. Home renovations. The success of Reed and Chen historical venues exceeded even their most optimistic projections. Within a year, they had expanded to the 4th floor, creating a boutique hotel experience where guests could stay after attending events. Their unique blend of historical preservation and modern luxury became the talk of the city's social circuit. One crisp autumn morning, Sophia arrived early at their offices, coffee in hand to find Nathan already there, surrounded by blueprints. You're here early, she observed, setting a cup beside him. Couldn't sleep? He pulled her down for a quick kiss. I had an idea I wanted to work out. Their relationship had blossomed alongside their business, each strengthening the other. They moved easily between professional partners and intimate companions, their shared passion for their work enhancing their personal connection. What kind of idea? Sophia peered at the drawings. Nathan looked uncharacteristically nervous. It's ambitious, maybe too ambitious. The blueprint showed the Westfield's rooftop, currently unused space, transformed into a glass-enclosed garden venue with panoramic views of the river and city skyline. Nathan, it's breathtaking. She studied the details, the retractable glass ceiling, the integrated lighting designed to mimic stars, the cascading indoor gardens. But the cost? I know, he sighed. It would stretch us thin even with our success. There might be another way. Sophia hesitated, then continued. I received a letter from Richard Palmer yesterday, the man who bought my family's house. Nathan frowned. What did he want? To sell it back to me. She pulled out the letter. Apparently his development plans fell through due to zoning issues. The Historical Preservation Board blocked his renovations. How do you feel about that? Sophia considered the question carefully. When I first read it, I felt nothing. That surprised me. The house that once meant everything. It's just a building now. Nathan studied her face. You don't want it back? What I want, she said slowly, realizing the truth as she spoke, is to move forward, not backward. That house represents who I was. This, she gestured to the space around them, to him, is who I am now. Nathan took her hands, his expression serious. There's something I've been wanting to ask you. I was waiting for the right moment, but maybe that's now. Sophia's heart quickened as he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. I'm not proposing, he clarified quickly. Not exactly. Not yet, she laughed, a mixture of relief and disappointment. That's quite a build-up for not exactly. He opened the box to reveal a key. It's to my house. I want you to move in with me, Sophia. Not as a guest or a girlfriend, but as my partner in every sense. We can renovate it together, make it ours, not just mine. Tears welled in her eyes. You're asking me to move in? I'm asking you to build a home with me. He brushed his thumb across her cheek. No rush, no pressure. But I love you, Sophia Reed. I think I have since design school. When you argued with our professor about the emotional impact of architecture. You remember that? I remember everything about you. His voice was tender. The way you fold napkins when you're nervous. How you close your eyes when you taste something delicious. The little hum you make when you're concentrating on designs. Sophia felt tears spill over. I love you too. Their kiss was gentle, full of promise rather than passion. When they parted, Sophia had made her decision. Let's do both, she said, pointing to the rooftop plans. We'll use the money from selling the Reed house to fund the rooftop garden. My family's legacy supporting our future, not holding us in the past. Are you sure? Nathan searched her eyes. Completely. She ran her finger along the blueprint, but with one addition. Here in the center, a stained glass ceiling feature using the panels from my family's home. A piece of my history incorporated into our creation. Nathan smiled, understanding the significance. Perfect. 3 months later, as winter yielded to spring, Sophia stood on the partially completed rooftop garden. Workers had just installed the salvaged stained glass from her family home into the central dome. Sunlight streamed through the colored panels, casting rainbow patterns across the wooden platform, just as it had done in her family home for generations. What do you think? Nathan asked, joining her. It's better than I imagined. She leaned back against his chest as his arms encircled her. Different, but better. Below them, the city stretched out in all directions. In the distance, she could just make out the roof of her family's old house, now sold to a young family with children who would create their own memories within those walls. I ran into Marcus yesterday, Sophia said quietly. Nathan tensed slightly. How was that? Surprisingly okay. His new investment firm is doing well. He seemed at peace. She turned in his arms to face him. He asked if I was happy. And what did you tell him? Sophia reached up to trace Nathan's jawline. That I found something I wasn't even looking for. That sometimes you have to lose what you thought you wanted to find what you truly need. As the sun began to set, they remained entwined on the rooftop, watching the city lights flicker on. The space around them, part of their past, foundation for their future, held the promise of all they would build together. You know, Nathan murmured against her hair, we never did decide what to call this new venue. Sophia smiled, an idea taking shape. How about the foundation? Perfect, he agreed, understanding immediately. A place to start new beginnings. In the fading light, surrounded by the blend of old and new, Sophia felt a sense of completion. The betrayal that had once shattered her world had ultimately led her here, to a partnership built on trust, to a love grown from friendship, to a home created through shared vision rather than inherited obligation. As Nathan pulled her closer, she realized that home wasn't the house she'd lost, or even the building they'd restored. Home was the space they created together, built on honesty and shared dreams, a foundation strong enough to weather any storm.